Hey everyone, welcome back once again. And today in this module, we are going to talk about specialist domination or niche selection. So, welcome to Specialist Domination. In this video, we are going to explore niches, taking some action to help you find, define, and research a profitable niche. If you don't have a niche yet, you definitely do need one. If you are currently generalized and you want to niche down but you don't want to fire your existing clients, just pick a niche and grow your business in that direction. Now, before starting, I would like to start with a quotation. It doesn't matter how hard you row, it matters what boat you are in. We are going to follow along through whole of this module, and this quotation right here is going to make sense. So before starting, let me tell you what exactly is a niche. So a niche is like the category of the people you work with. So it could be like real estate people, or people who only work in commercial real estate, or people who work only in commercial real estate in this place. So that could be your niche, right? And we are going to get into much more detail soon as we move forward. Now, starting with functional roles. In a natural ecosystem, all species play a functional role that contributes to the ecosystem as a whole, right? Without a functional role, the species is rendered useless to the ecosystem and is typically eradicated. So, what it means is that in a natural ecosystem, all species they play a functional role and it contributes to the ecosystem as a whole. And without, like, if the species is not being useful to the ecosystem in any way, it is typically eradicated, it is removed, and it becomes extinct. The same is very true in business as well. But the market is the ecosystem, and your business is an organism within a species, right? So, like the ecosystem and the species and the organisms, here it is the market, it is your business, and it is within a species, right? And if you don't play a specific role in the market, if you don't render as a useful person in the market will end up chewing you and spitting you out and totally eradicating your business or making your business a failure, right? So that's why you need to play a specific role in the market and you need to be rendered as useful. So, in your market, focus is power, specialists have authority, depth of expertise is everything, and functionality is leverage. We will be talking more on these later down the road, but for now, this is what you need to keep in mind. Without a niche, you are aimless and cannot align your growth efforts in a tangible direction. What this means is that if you don't have a particular niche, you don't have a particular target, and you cannot align your growth efforts so that they go into a particular direction. You are basically aimless, and all the efforts that you're putting to your growth, they go in multiple directions, not heading to one way, and that's why growth or scaling up your business is very difficult. To understand this even more, let's talk about a term that I coined named as operational drag multipliers. A niche brings order to your business and it gives you an operational drag multiplier of 1. So, by order, what I mean is that when you have a particular niche, everything that happens in your business happens in one particular order, and it is going to give you a operational drag multiplier of 1. By operational drag multiplier, I mean like a friction. When there is some client in your agency and you need to provide them service, there are operations that are taking place, right? And every operation has some kind of resistance or friction in it, right? And when you have a lot of niche or a lot of products, this operational drag multiplier is a higher number, and when it is a higher number, there is more resistance, and that's why you need to put more focus on the service delivery side. Things are not as smooth, and when this operational drag multiplier is of 1 or of a very low number, in that case what happens is everything is very smooth. You don't have to put in a lot of time in service delivery, everything is running smoothly. You just need to take a overlook at it, and that's basically what operational drag multiplier is. So operational drag multiplier is a term that I have coined to explain the degree to which certain variables of your business create operational complexity. So basically, what I mean by this is operational complexity, how complex or how difficult it is for you to serve a client, right? And basically, operational complexity, it inhibits profitability, scale, and focus. If your operations are very complex, if you need to do different things for each of the clients that come into your place or that come to work for you, you need to do different things for them, or the complexity is just very high. In that case, profitability is going to be low, scaling the business is going to be very difficult, and you will have to put a lot of focus in service delivery, which is not actually growing the business, right? So that's one thing. Now, the two primary operational drag multipliers in your business are niche and product. So these two things, niche and product, they basically combine together to make an operational drag multiplier. And trust me, the key to getting $10,000 plus per month with 75% margins is to just have one niche and one product. Let's take a look at freedom acquisition. So, the niche that we work in is high ticket service and coaching businesses. That is just one niche. And the product that we have is freedom acquisition. That is also just one product, right? So that's why we have just one offer, one call to action, one website funnel, one Calendly event, one contract, one product access gateway, one set of standard operating procedures, one YouTube title style, one YouTube thumbnail style, one YouTube channel, one payment plan, one pricing strategy, one sales pitch, etc. Right? So when you combine them all together, still the operational drag multiplier is just one, right? There are 100 more single creation variables in our company that are required to run it successfully, but our operational drag multiplier will always be either one or very low. And this is where it comes to this point where simple scales and complex fails. That is one thing which you need to keep in mind, right? Now going down, let's take a look at another business that has two niches but one product. See, so we are just increasing one more niche. Now they'll have to add two offers, two call to actions, two funnels, two websites, two contracts, two outreach systems, two email lists, two sets of standard operating procedures. They'll have to create two YouTube channels. For example, let's say you also work with dentists and you also work with gym owners, right? So in that case, you'll have to have a channel or an inbound strategy for gym owners where you'll be creating content related to them. And then you'll have to have a different profile where you'll be creating content for dentists, right? You'll have to have two sales pitch, two sales scripts, two pricing strategy, two payment plans, and things like that, right? And when you combine them all together, the operational drag multiplier is somewhere around 8.5 billion. That's a lot of complexity just for one extra niche. Now, of course, this is like a simplified model of reality. Having an extra niche does not make your business 8 billion times more complex than just having one niche. But I hope it makes the point clear that just by adding one extra niche to the game, the complexity is changing by a lot, right? So I want you to answer this. Who is more likely to scale? A company with an operational drag of 1 or a company with an operational drag of 8.5 million or billion, right? Of course, the company with an operational drag multiplier of 1, right? Let's take a look at another business that has two niches and three products. They'll need three offers, three call to actions, two funnels, two websites. They'll need 6 Calendly events, 6 contracts, 6 communities, 6 evergreen videos, 6 set of standard operating procedures, 2 YouTube channels, 6 pitches, 6 sales scripts, 12 payment plans, and things like that, right? So the operational drag multiplier would be so high, right? That's a lot of complexity. Once again, this is just a model. It simplifies reality and loses some objectivity in the process, but I hope it makes the point clear. Now, I promise you, as someone who has done it twice in high ticket coaching and done for you setting, you only need one product and one niche to get to 6 multi figures and achieve an exit. There is no point in doing this program and building a client acquisition system if you don't have the operational capacity to take full advantage of it. The easiest way to improve operational capacity is to remove products and niches until you have just one thing to offer to one type of person. For example, in the last 4 months before starting in India, Freedom Formula has taken on about 90 clients without me. All I have done is lock myself in a room and made this program, made all the documents, made all the video recordings and things like that. We haven't even flinched operationally and our profit margins have not suffered in the slightest. If we were maybe in a done for you business where we were doing all the services, it would have been a little harder, but it would be way more manageable if all those clients are in the same niche with the same problem. For example, at our peak, Ad Honor, it was like our done for you gym agency. We had like 60, 70 done for you clients at a 6-figure run rate. and we ran the same ads, the same funnel, and the same processes for all of the clients, and we could onboard and deliver for a new client in just 2 days by copying and pasting the systems and processes that we have tried, tested, and created. So for a done for you service, a single niche and product allows you to have one of everything: one set of ads, one funnel, one ad optimization process, one creativity style, things like that, right? Same for a coaching service: one niche and one product allows you to have one program, one field of expertise, one type of problem, one coaching style, and things like that. Always look to remove things from your business, not to add them. Less here is always more. Just ask yourself one thing: if I suddenly solved all your client acquisition issues and I gave you 20 high ticket clients this month in different niches with a bunch of different products, could you serve them all within a week, keep them happy, and retain them? And if your answer is no, how is this program going to help you? Because that's basically what we do, right? We help you get high ticket clients, but if you are not ready to serve them yourself, if you don't have the operational capacity, how is this program going to help you? That is one thing you need to understand. Now coming to the same point, let's say Ad Honor, instead of just a gym agency, it was just a done for you agency. And let's say instead of these 60-70 gym clients, we had 10 clients for dentists, 10 clients for gyms, 10 e-commerce clients, and 10 real estate clients, and then 10 roofing clients, and things like that. How difficult would it be? Because we would need 8 sets of ads, 8 funnels, 8 optimization styles, 8 kind of pitches, and things like that. It would be like, it would not have been so easy to manage like it was to manage this thing right here. So that's one thing you need to keep in mind. Now coming down to specialists advantage, the final question to ask if you're on the fence of having a niche, if you just still can't decide if you want a niche or not: who makes more money, a general doctor or a heart surgeon? Which athletes achieve greatness, a generalist athlete or athletes who focus on just one sports? Ask yourself, is it better to solve your market's main, most painful problem 100% of the way, or 10 smaller problems just 10% of the way? Ask yourself, are you going to make more money being the best in one market or being subpar average in all of them? And when you realize the answer, you'll definitely choose to make a niche, right? Because the key points here are: generalists face chaos while specialists face order. When you're a generalist, there are things which are all scattered around. You'll have to create new strategies for every client that comes in. You'll have to create everything once again from scratch in order to serve them. Well, if you're a specialist, if you have been working in just one niche, you have a lot of experience, you have worked with a lot of people who have like similar problems, you know the ins and out of the industry, and that's why you have much more order, and that's why it is much more easier for you to manage everything and to serve the clients, which is your main goal, right? Now, chaos inhibits growth while order facilitates it. So when there is chaos, growth is impossible, and when there is order, growth is much easier to achieve. Deep somewhere beats shallow everywhere. So if you have deep knowledge about something, it is much better than having shallow knowledge about everything. Then 100 kilometers in one direction gets you further than 10 kilometers in 10 different directions. So that's one thing you need to keep in mind. And the final one is: 10,000 towers in one area creates more authority than 1,000 towers in 10 different areas. Of course, there is a caveat to this. After becoming the best in one area, you can branch out into others, like we did by going from our done for you setting to this done with you program. For example, Kanye West moving from fashion, like moving from music to fashion; Arnold moving from bodybuilding to politics; Amazon, which started by selling books, is now selling other products as well. So that's one thing you can do as well. Now we are going to talk about some common mistakes that people make while they're selecting niche. Right. So let's discuss the three main problems. The first one is worrying about competition. You, my friends, should not concern yourself with the size and competence of the competitors. The market is big enough for you. If you're talented and if you can solve a problem for it, there is no problem that you're going to face because the market is very big, right? You have to also realize that only a very small percentage of your competitors are actually able to compete with you. There might be 2,000 people competing with you for the same client, but only 10% of them have more than 4 or 5 clients, and only 2.5% of them can actually solve the problem which the market is facing. So the competition, even though it may look big, it is filled with immature people, and they're not actually able to serve what they are going to what they're going to promise. And in that case, with time, the ecosystem is going to eradicate them. And one more thing, a lot of them don't have a lot of experience, and that's why you already are at a very good position. I used to be terrified in the gym niche because of the competition. Because if you search it, what are some of the most competitive niche, gym is going to be one of them. Until I asked myself this: there are 60,000 gyms in my niche, and all I need is just 30 clients to get to $50,000 a month, and that is 0.05% of the market. Provided that I am good at solving a problem for it, do I think it's possible to claim just 0.05% of the market? And it definitely is, right? So that's one thing you need to keep in mind. The second mistake that a lot of people do is they worry about saturation. You should also not concern yourself with saturation. Niches don't saturate, offers and client acquisition methods do. For as long as there are people with some problem, there are opportunities for you to get clients by solving them, right? Saturation is only an issue with when your business looks like all of the other competitors, and when you use the same methods as everyone else is trying to get clients, right? So when you do things like a sheep, when you keep doing everything to get like just like your competitors, when you have the same looking website, when you have almost the same offer, almost the same pricing point, people are not going to work with you, and in that case saturation is going to be an issue for your business. Positioning here is power, and it basically solves the problem of saturation, right? If your positioning is good, no point, there is no point worrying about saturation. Because if you even look in our niche, there is a lot of competition. There are people who are running ads with the ad spend of like 5-10 lakh rupees a day, and still we are getting enough clients, we are growing every single month. So that's how easy it is to grow with just a good offer and just good positioning. I used to be terrified of the gym niche being saturated because everyone and their nan seemed to run a gym marketing agency, until I realized that 99% of people are doing the same thing, and that basically snowballing their saturation. So if I did not do what they do, I would seem to be even more different, and that's how I was able to get clients, right? If an offer or method saturates, it's a good thing, because it makes new offers and methods 10 times better. And we are going to teach you how you can make these new offers and methods. We are going to tell you how you can develop these, right? And the third mistake that most people make is they just copycat. They look at like most people, they just pick their niche based on monkey see monkey do logic. This means they look at what niche everyone else is in and they just pick that. They look to gurus, they look to course sellers, finding out what niche they are in, and then they start picking that. Wrong. You should never select a niche based on that. You should select a niche whether or not you're interested in it, and even more important, whether or not it makes sense at the time. A niche is like a stock. If everyone and some random dude on a Facebook group or a WhatsApp group or a Discord server tells you to buy it, you need to know that it's the time to sell. An example client of mine named Luca, he scaled from zero to $70,000 per month in like 4 to 6 months in the land clearing niche. I did not even know it was a thing, like land clearing niche and roofing niche and things like that. I never had an idea, and he scaled it to zero to $70,000 a month with just like 4, 5, 6 months of training and hard work, of course. Another example is I once tried to start an e-commerce marketing agency because every guru in the agency like Iman Ghazi and all had this, and I soon realized that they started 3 to 4 years before me, and e-commerce was much easier at that time. It was not as punishing, and it did not work out for me. Not talking about the best niche, you must be asking, what is the best niche, Aditya? The best niche is the one that you stick to for 1 to 2 years. It because it takes time to understand the intricacies and the nuances of a niche, right? All niche related problems can be solved with time. And now, what is the worst niche, Aditya? The one you just hopped into. All of the problems in your business are created by your lack of knowledge or experience. It is not created by your niche most of the time. The harder a niche is in the beginning, the less people will stick to it, and the easier it is to become the best. And you should also know when it's time to give up. If you have relentlessly tried to make a niche work for like 1-2 years, doing the work every day, and it is still giving you unsolvable pushbacks, that's when you need to know that it's the time to switch. Now we come to rowing the boat, the quotation we started in the beginning. It does not matter how hard you row, it matters what boat you're in. You can row as hard as you want, but if the boat you're in was designed to sink from the get go, there is not much point. So that's why you need to pick wisely. For example, one of our clients, Oscar, he was in the lawyer niche for like 2 years. He used to send like 20,000 cold emails, and he sent an ungodly amount of cold messages to no avail. He did not have a lot of money to run ads, and he did not have a very good understanding of the niche to create an inbound system. So a friend of mine told him to come and work for them, and 3 months in, and he's on a track to become like a multi six figure setter and like sales representative for them. It is one of the best that I have ever seen and met. So what I mean by this is, a great person in a bad niche will get bad results. Oscar was rowing as hard as he could in a boat that was never built to move. So that's why it's also important to pick wisely, and that's why I have got a checklist for you. If you already have a niche which is likely, move on and you can just like ignore this. But let's say you still want to finalize a niche. If you have 2 or 3 niche and you just want to finalize one, you can go ahead and do this. I'm going to give you a checklist with a series of questions. I am not here to tell you which niche you're going to pick. It has to be your idea and decision. This checklist serves as a framework to test the strength of a niche. Think of a niche and run it through this checklist. Now there are going to be keystone questions. These must be tickable. All of these. If any of these are not tickable, the niche is unviable. And then there are general questions. For a niche to be viable, you want to tick all of the keystone questions and at least 70% of the general questions. Now this is basically the resource. You can go through it, and this is basically what it looks like. Now here are a lot of questions. Again, the keystone must be all ticked. General question at least 70% must be ticked. So now the first one is, does your niche need what you're selling? So if the niche does not have a painful problem that you can solve, they won't purchase from you, because pain drives client acquisition. For example, a client of mine went into the vets who basically looks after, or who basically solves problem of dogs, cats and pets. But 90% of vets don't need help in getting customers, right? So it would be very difficult to get a client and also to serve for them, because they are not in a painful situation. If there is a fantastic niche with a super painful problem, you can always figure out how to solve it, and your skill set at present should not be a massive concern. So if you start looking at things by how much you can do, so this is what I can do and this is what I'm going to solve, instead of doing that, just go for this is what needs to be solved and now this is what I am going to do. Crafting your product around your market is a better idea than crafting your market around your product. You need to understand it first. If you're just starting out, first I would suggest that you do some market research, you find a problem that people have and you create a solution around that. It's always possible to find a solution, it's always possible to figure out how you can solve it, and your skill set at present is not an issue. You can always hire genius talent. That's one thing. Now the second one is a little tricky. It is, does this niche's niche need what they're selling? So by this what I mean is that, does the market, the people in your niche operate in, do they need what your niche is selling? Does the market have pain that can be alleviated by your niche? So what I mean by that is, let's say for example, gym owners in my locality, let's say people just don't want to go to gyms, right? So in that case, doing services or providing some services to gyms won't be the best option, because people in their locality, they don't need their service, right? And in that case it would be much difficult for you to serve them, and it is not going to grow as much. Now the next thing is the niche growing? Are more businesses or people entering this market and being created, or is this niche shrinking? For example, the newspaper industry, it is shrinking by like 20% every single year. You don't want to be in that position. Or for example, commercial real estate, it is also shrinking. So you don't want to get into those niches, because the market must be expanding for you to have a shot at long term success. because if the market dies, so do you. Without the ecosystem, the organisms cannot survive. Now the next thing is, can your niche afford high ticket prices? Does this niche make enough money to afford high ticket prices? Can they readily invest in value at a high price? To find it out, look no further than the prices of the biggest and most successful potential customers or potential competitors that you have in this industry. For example, students, they don't have a lot of money, so I would never suggest you try to create something for students, because when it comes to paying, they don't have a lot of money, so we also try to stay away from them. So you need to stay away from people who don't have a lot of money, because in that case it would be much difficult for you to serve them. Now these are like more of the general questions. Are you interested in this niche? You're going to spend your life working with these people, solving their problem, and like spending thousands of hours helping them. And if you actually find it interesting, it's much better. If you don't, then there is not an issue, but it's much better if you find it interesting. Then the next one is, are there more than 30,000 people in this niche? This only applies if you want to grow your business beyond $10,000 a month. But if the niche is large enough, only then will it be supporting growth, right? If there are only a few hundred or thousand people in your niche, you'll have a lot of trouble running ads and building an audience and things like that, right? Then the next one is, will you have competitors already succeeding in this niche? So now most of the people, what they want is, they want a niche where there are very few competitors and when the niche is fresh and new. But this is not the right way. You think of yourself as a fish. Which pond would you want to get into? A pond where there are already healthy fishes, or would you want to get into a pond where you don't have a good idea if the water is toxic or not, if there is enough food or not, if the water is not muddy and things like that, right? So you need to get into a place where people are already growing, so that you can also get a piece of the pie. Now the next one is, are the offers in this niche realistic for you to compete after 6 months of work? So like, are the offers insane and completely illogical? For example, in the done for you e-commerce marketing niche, you need to promise a 5 times return on ad spend or 30% growth in revenue in 30 days. And that's like, it has got to a point of irrationality, right? So in that case, there is no point in going into such a niche where the offers have become like so illogical, right? Now, does the niche give your business a minimum, like a minimal operational drag multiplier? So for example, like, can you actually deliver the same service variables every time for this? Now there might be some changes that you might have to make, but like the general idea, I hope you get it. Because for example, in the e-commerce, every business is different. Some guy selling a treadmill, while some guy is selling a t-shirt, or some guy is selling a toy, right? So everyone has a different product, and it requires you to make different ads, different funnels, etc., right? So in that case, it would be much better if you avoid this. Now the next one is, can people in this niche easily be found and contacted? Because like, can you quickly and easily find the contact information of the people in this niche in order to reach out to them and explain your offer? So let's say you're working with like, let's say shopkeepers, local shopkeepers. In that case, their contact details cannot be easily found, right? And that could be a problem. So it's much better that you find people who are easily accessible, especially online if you're running an online business, and that would be much better. Now if you're working in B2B, do you care about the impact of the work of the people in this niche? For example, I was working with gyms, and I was very happy. I loved working there because I knew I was introducing thousands of people to fitness and a healthier living every month. It got me up in the morning, but this again is not very necessary. But if it is there, if you could tick it, it is much better, right? The next one is, does this niche hang out on social online, like social media platforms? Because that's where you are going to set up an inbound marketing, right? So it's much better if they actually do use social media, even if it is Facebook, LinkedIn, or any other. But it's much better if they are available on social media, so that you can make an inbound strategy for that. The next one is, does this niche have a gatekeeper to screen all outbound contact attempts? It is not that big of a problem, because you can easily find ways to get around them. But for example, dental offices, they have a receptionist, right? They don't let you contact the dentist, and that's a problem. So if you can find a niche where there are no gatekeepers, it is much better, because you can directly contact the person in charge. The next one again is, do you understand this niche or could you get your grips with it quickly? Again, this is important. Of course, you'll have to understand the niche, but even if you don't, there is not a big issue because you can understand it with time. Do you speak the language of this niche or could you get your grips with it quickly? That's also one thing which I would recommend you try to tick. But if that's not an issue, like if you cannot, that's not an issue anyway, because you can just learn everything with time, right? Now, once this is done, there are a few key points that I would want you to remember. The first one is, you are not married to this niche forever. If you hate it, you can change it with time, right? And then do not pick two niches. It is not smart. It creates a lot of problems, especially in the long run. So I would recommend you just go with one niche, and the more specific the niche is, the better it is going to be. And do not spend ages deciding this. Pick well and pick fast. Now, coming to the most important part, this is the niche market research. Once selected, it is time to research your niche. And the better you understand your niche, the easier client acquisition will be. The deeper you understand your niche, the better you are able to craft marketing stimuli that resonates with them and encourages them to take action. The better you understand your niche, the easier it will be for you to craft a winning offer, which is going to be our next topic. And offers, trust me, I'm not even exaggerating it, offers account for 80% of client acquisition success. So the truth is, the niche market research drives 80% of your client acquisition results in some way, right? And I have compiled a list of questions to form a client avatar for your business. The better you can answer these questions with more accuracy and detail, the better your niche understanding is going to be, right? So now we are going to open this up. And one thing that I'm going to tell you is, the deeper understanding that you have about it, the better it is going to be. And with time, so like keep coming back to this, come back to this 1 month later, come back to this 3 months later, 9 months later, 1 year later, and keep adding more and more things that you learn. When you have like a niche, like a client avatar worksheet of like 10 pages, 12 pages, you will be like so good at your niche, you'll be able to close clients like cutting a slice of butter, right? So that's what I mean by this. You'll have to make this. What you need to do is, you need to click on file and you need to click on make a copy, and then you just need to add in as much information as you can about them. So from here, like change the company name to your company, and then you can add in things like how old are they, how, like where do they live, what is the level of their education, what have they accomplished, tell us a little about your avatar, what do they do, how do they spend their week, what do they do outside of work, where do they get their news from, which social media do they use, how do they feel about their job, things like that. Because let's say I have worked in the niche of marketing agencies, right? So I have so much knowledge about them. I know exactly what they think. I know the exact words which I would say that they'll feel compelled to do something, to take an action, maybe that is to book an appointment or to buy something from me. I know exactly what to say, and that is because I have done research on marketing agencies and marketing agency owners, and I have been one myself, right? So that's why I have this knowledge. For example, marketing agency owners, when we talk about them, we could say like they always whenever you say these terms like financial freedom or freedom of location, they they have this sudden stimuli reaction, right? And that's the thing which I have learned from a lot of experience. Most of the time, when they're not working, they spend their time looking on videos at YouTube about how to make $10,000 a month. So 10,000, 50,000, $100,000 a month, these are some terms which are very correlated to my niche. And in the same way, you need to understand your niche in as much detail as you can. So what I need you to do is, I need you to go through this, and I need you to fill out this page, and I need you to add more pages, more and more and more pages, and I need you to make a good client avatar so that you can use it later on to make a good offer, make good copies and things like that, right? That is one thing. Now if you're new to your niche, you won't have all the answers, and that is totally fine. You find these answers with time. Now if you don't have answers, here is what you can do. If you have pre-existing clients, call them, ask them, can I have an interview for like a minute, or like for like 30 minutes maybe. Ask them as much questions as you can, ask them as many questions as you want to, Otherwise, you can call someone and ask to interview them, tell them that you're a student and you need it for a project or something like that. You can do sales calls. You can watch people doing sales calls on YouTube and such platforms, or you can watch a previous sales call and get as much detail as you can about them. And also you can hang out where your niche hang out. So online groups, online forums, you can find a lot of similarities there, and you need to detect patterns. And when you start detecting patterns, that is where you can easily get information to put in this client avatar worksheet. So that is basically it. For the final notes, you need to pick a niche if you want to win. It's not about how hard you row, it's about what boat you're in. Pick wisely, because markets are dominated by specialists. That is basically it for the niche selection video. If you have any question about it, feel free to contact the person assigned to you, and make sure that you're going through all of this again and again, and you're creating your avatar worksheet and you're going through it again and again within like months and years and all, and you keep adding more and more information so that you have more understanding about your niche. Thank you so much. Have a great day.